Joe McElderry, welcome to Beacon. Thank you so much for coming in. Lovely to have you here.
Thank you for having us.
You've been well looked after. You've got your green tea on the go.
I've got my green tea. I'm sorted. My bottles of water.
Good. Now, can I just say, actually, because I know you've been touring around at the moment, hence why you're here, but when you were in London, you've just been doing your filming, haven't you, for your video?
Yeah.
You got actually caught up in the area of the riots.
I did. I was in Hackney the day that it kicked off, and we're in this kind of derelict location building, filming in it with all these different rooms, and we're on the top floor, and we started hearing all these sirens and all these, and then all of a sudden there was this like massive police helicopter circling around the building.
You thought the record label, they've brought all these people
I thought, we've got plenty of extras. I thought they were just pushing the boundaries. And then they were setting cars alight and everything. There was in the about 2 streets down, and there was just smoke everywhere, and people were like riding past on bikes with balaclavas on. And I was like, I think it's time to go home now.
Were you okay? You were obviously okay getting out, and everything was sorted for you.
Yeah, well, we had it. I got a bit scared, and I was like, I don't really fancy finishing the video when there's all these people around. But we had this contingency plan that there was a car just waiting outside, and if it started to get out of hand, we would just all jump in the car and off we go. So,
bulletproof, James Bond-esque.
Exactly, Daniel Craig.
Yeah. Now listen, you've had quite a roller coaster ride since you won the X Factor a couple of years ago.
I certainly have.
You know, number one, performing with some big stars. Then obviously there's the stuff with Simon and the record label and what happened there. And then you've come back and there was the whole stuff with your sexuality in the papers.
Yes.
And then you're on Popstar to Operastar and you win that, and now you've been signed to Decca and you've got this new album out. So what have you learnt in that time since, the couple of years in this mad world?
What have I learned?
And about people especially. Because it must be quite difficult.
Do you know what I'll tell you what I have learned about people, and the public have continued to support me continuously. That's one thing I've learned. They've continuously kind of stuck by us. For us to go back onto another show like that where it's down to public vote and to vote again is, it's amazing. And that was one thing that I did take away. I thought, God, it just proves to you that people, when they get behind somebody and support somebody, they really mean it. And I've enjoyed it. It's been the thing about coming out wasn't an issue. It was fine. Everybody was really supportive and was really lovely about it. And everything else has just been part of my career and part of a new chapter, I suppose.
But for somebody of your age to have to deal with the pressure
it's like a soap opera, isn't it?
Well, I remember going into the newsagents one morning. It was on the front page of the Sun. So how was that for you? Waking up to see that?
I remember going into a newsagent and seeing it on the paper and being like, "Oh God." Well, I just thought it's not even newsworthy enough to be on the front page. I just was like, that's ridiculous. There's worse things going on in the world, never mind Britain, and I just thought it was ridiculous that it was on the front page of the paper, to be honest. And I wanted to talk about it, but I didn't expect it to get that much coverage, to be honest.
How irritated was it you that everywhere you went, probably that was the first question people were going to ask you? That was one of the reasons that I wanted to talk about it, because it was starting to get to the point where it was becoming intrusive. People were starting to ask really personal questions and really personal things, and by that point I'd kind of, I'd grown up a lot as a person in the past year. I'd had to mature a lot after winning X Factor. I'd realised who I was, and all these kind of things were starting to become a bit intrusive, and people were like, in every interview it started to just become about finding out whether I was gay or not. And there was actually no questions about. That's probably frustrating for you.
Well, there was probably just no questions about me music, and I just thought, hang on a minute, I don't do this job because I'm gay, because I'm straight, because I'm whatever. I do because I enjoy to sing, and that's the reason that I'm doing this interview, to tell everybody that my song's out. So I just wanted to talk about it, get it out the way, so that it could be back about me music, because it was just getting stupid.
Out of all the people that you've met in these few years, what's the sort of biggest person in the music business that you're proud of having their mobile number on your phone? You must have a pretty good list now on your mobile. Yeah.
Elton John.
Elton John is on your mobile phone list. So if you wanted to text Elton and say, hey Elton, thinking about putting this song out, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I could text him.
Okay, second best. Let's go second best. I like this. Elton John.
I have Cheryl.
Cheryl,
Simon.
No, let's stop there. That's big enough, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's pretty big, isn't it?
Yeah, that's very good. Okay. And talking of performing some big stars, you've performed with George Michael.
Yes.
And on the Haiti single with Mariah Carey.
Yes.
Out of all the people that you have actually performed with, who would you say is the one you're most proud of?
I think definitely George Michael. I mean, that was just... I never imagined that I'd be able to be standing on the same stage. You know, I used to sing that song in like grotty little pubs where nobody would even listen. You know, people would just be like, oh, who's this idiot standing up singing? And then you're standing on the stage in front of 20 million people singing with like an absolute like musical icon. I just couldn't believe it.
Did you get that sort of butterfly feeling that everybody does there when you're on stage? Because I always look at the telly and I think, why don't they get that feeling that I would get?
The way I explain it is, it's like it's a swan on water. It's all elegant on the top, but your feet are going like that underneath, and you've just got to hide it. You've got to deal with it. Otherwise, if you don't chill yourself out, then you would just forget the words. You would lose your breath. But I remember that day when I was told that I was going to be singing with them, and I was just like, I can't do it. You know, I can't get on the same stage as him.
Did you have some time, obviously, before doing a bit of rehearsing? How was he there in sort of mentoring you?
We had an hour. We had an hour at about 5 o'clock on the night of the final. And that was because that was scheduled. That was the way it was meant to be, because I think he had flown in from somewhere to do it, and he'd literally got off the plane, came straight to the studio and walked on stage. But he was really nice. He didn't want to meet us in front of everybody on the stage, so he invited us to his dressing room with the team and all the vocal coaches, and he was like, you know, I just wanted to say hello to everybody without it being awkward and just walking onto the stage. He was really nice. And me and Cheryl had a cup of tea with him as well, which was quite a surreal moment.
You, Cheryl and George, it's amazing. I do follow George Michael on Twitter, and he's quite colourful, isn't he, with his language
quite
at
funny,
times.
isn't he?
Yeah, he is very funny, very funny. So, what can you talk about the thing? Do I say fallout with Simon? Was it?
It wasn't a fallout. You know, this is the thing. Everybody's frightened to ask about it because it was made out in the press to be some kind of vicious battle, and it wasn't. We parted ways, and that was it. You know. I was starting to be a bit unhappy at the label. They weren't happy with a few of the sales of the singles and a few other things, and we just went, okay, let's just call it a day and move on. And
I love your honesty.
Well, that was literally it. And it was made out to be this huge thing, like I was depressed, but it wasn't at all. You know, I was really excited. I had all of these other things going on in the background, and I just focused on them, and I got on with everything else. I had Popstar, Operastar, which was coming up,
which you won.
Yeah, oh yeah, and yeah, it was fine, and it was an exciting time for me. You know, it was made out like I was upset, and I was a bit like, oh, you know, it's not an ideal situation to be in, but it was exciting. I was able to find a new label and get on with new things.
And is this more about you and your say on music now that you're with Decca?
I feel, this might sound stupid to say, but I feel like I needed that experience with Psycho to be in the position that I'm in now, because I know what works and I know what doesn't now, and I have the confidence in my own creative ideas, whereas before I was so new to it all that I kind of just let everybody else, like, I was too frightened to take control. I was a bit like, I don't know what I'm talking about, so you just do that.
Well, it's a bit of a thing, isn't it? It's like you're sort of pushed in front of the spotlight and deal with it.
I was involved in the creative process. I know everybody has that stigma with Simon saying that he does that, but I was involved, but I kind of, on certain things, I was a bit like, okay, well, I don't know that side of things, so you can deal with that. But now that I've had that experience, and now that I moved away from them, and I've moved on and I've dealt with everything, like, kind of, I suppose, without having a big brand around you and dealing with all the creative things yourself, it gives you that kind of awareness of the industry.